Welcome back to the Armchair Generals.
Where we talk 40K's news, tactics, and lore.
And so much more. We hope you enjoy the video.
Welcome back to the Armchair Generals. As always, I am Crash. With me are Nova Star.
How's it going?
And El Scotcho.
What's up, y'all?
And today we are going to be discussing a bunch of the new Necron stuff. GW has kind of given us a little bit of an info dump over the last few days on new Necron rules and units. And we are going to be going over that. The first big change is to reanimation protocols. It is a pretty wordy and in-depth rule, but Nova's going to go ahead and break that down for us into a little bit more layman's terms.
Oh my goodness. Is it just a chunk of text that you would see in a college textbook?
It's a chunky boy.
So I'm just going to paraphrase it. Every time an enemy unit attacks you, whether it's in shooting, melee, Overwatch, you're going to be rolling your reanimation. So if Unit A Space Marine shoots at Necron Unit A, you're going to re-roll. You're going to roll your animation after that's all resolved. Then when Unit B shoots at you, you're also going to roll. So is this going to slow the game down? Yes. Hopefully Necron players get used to this more and are able to do it quickly. A reanimation protocol is sort of like a discussing resilience, or as colloquially known as feel no pain. You know, that's not an actual rule anymore. You get to reanimate on a 5+. So if I fail my save on my Necron warrior, he dies, I get a dice on a 5+, I can get back up. This save cannot be modified any worse than by -1 or by +1. There's rules on how you can place them. So if your unit's engagement range in melee, you have to reanimate in engagement range, so on and so forth. The real big hamper is, so say you have a unit of 10 Necron warriors, you lose 5. You now have 5 dice that are going to be going into your reanimation pool. And you roll those 5 dice, whatever is on the 5+, cool, you get up. Where it's going to hurt Necron players is anything with multiple wounds. So Lich Guard, destroyers. So because say you have a unit of 3 Scorpic destroyers, you only lose 1. You get that amount of wounds in your reanimation pool of 3, but you have to roll 3 successes to get that model up. Same with the unit of Lich Guard, and I forget where GW explained this, but they did put out an example. Of course, not in the article with reanimation protocols. They did an example of Lich Guard, and they said, okay, you have a unit of 6 Lich Guard, and you lose 3, you get 6 dice, because that's the amount of wounds. They have 2 wounds each. You have to make 2 successes to get 1 Lich Guard up.
Yeah. That is
in its current form, is this rule arguable? Yes, because even though it's super wordy and lengthy, it's actually badly, they don't close it off. They leave the rule open too much.
Yeah, we were discussing, off camera a little bit. It's a little ambiguous. Hopefully GW will clarify that those models cannot attempt to reassemble again. At this time, play it to the spirit. Power gamers are going to power game, but play it to the spirit of the rule. That it's clearly what it's meant to do. It's not meant to give you infinite wheelie backs. 8th edition wheelie backs were infinite. It's clear they're trying to shut that down while stopping people from focusing a unit to death.
Yeah.
I think it's going to hurt multi-wound models a lot, though. It's going to make it very difficult to bring any substantial number of them back.
Well, not only that, but if it loses wounds and then, on a multi-wound model, let's say you've got, that unit's down wounds, but not fully dead.
It'll be impossible to get back up.
Yep, next turn, because you only get those 2 dice or that 1 dice if they have 1 wound, and so yeah, you can't bring them back up. So
that's why those new awful Donnelly destroyers have the living metals. They regen wounds.
Yeah, that I'll be interested to see how many of the Necrons get that same rule.
That's a good catch there, El Scotcho. I actually completely missed that. You're right. It will be if your Scorpic destroyer only has 1 or 2 wounds remaining and then gets taken out and no other Scorpic destroyers get wounded. Oh, no, actually, because it's just the...
No, I think it's the base wounds of the model that you roll. So when that model dies, you add that many number of wounds to your reanimation pool.
You are correct. The combined wounds characteristics. Okay. So that was a good call out, and then we clarified
Debunked
the
it,
rule
but
there.
hey, that's fine.
That means they at least foresaw that.
Yeah,
GW.
yeah, that would have been pretty brutal on Necron players. So good catch.
I mean, that's already going to be brutal on multi-wound models for Necron.
Yeah.
That would have been horrible. I mean, at that point, you would almost not want to destroy one of the models and then finish it off the next turn and deny it any possibility of coming back.
Yeah. Well, then that would just disincline Necron players to play any multi-wound models, and you just see hordes of regular Necrons.
I'm hoping what they're doing is make the multi-wound models like artificially better than what they normally be, say, in a different army. Since there's a good chance they won't be getting back up, which I think that's true because we've seen the Scorpic destroyers, we've seen the Locust destroyers, and we've seen the other destroyer, and they're all really good.
They are.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, moving right along, we do have quite a bit of Necron news to cover. We've gotten some more information on protocols. Now, Scotcha, you want to go over that?
Oh, yeah. So it's looking like the Necrons are going to get some protocols here. It says 6 protocols in the article. You have to secretly assign them to the first 5 battle rounds. So one's going to get left out. When you reach the relevant battle round, you choose from one of these 2 directives that's on the protocol to be active for that round, and any unit within 6 inches of a Necron character can benefit from it. So the example they give is, say you selected Protocol of the Sudden Storm to be active in battle round 4. So battle round 4, you're getting closer to the end of the game. You're looking at objective grabs and quick kills, to try and pad those points so you can win your game. So Directive 1 on Protocol of the Sudden Storm adds 1 inch to the move characteristic of models within this unit. And then Directive 2, if this unit is performing an action, it can still make attacks with ranged weapons without an action failing. So if you're raising the flag on an objective, you still be able to shoot back. You won't have your whole unit consumed and completely occupied doing that. So this lends some interesting flair to the Necrons. And really influences, the whole, we'll get into the lore in our lore dive video, but the whole way their leaders literally control their underlings. They're programmed that way and they can't disobey. But I have a feeling that this has some potential for some abuse from those, power gamers that aren't playing to the spirit of the game. And potentially bog the game down a little bit if people get confused or get their order mixed up or something like that, especially if they're using the unit cards and the unit cards get mixed up or something like that.
I mean, it's unfortunate when anybody cheats. It really is. But yeah, I mean, if you're using the cards, fast fingers, you could swap them around knowing that, if your opponent's distracted moving some of their guys and that, one directive is going to be better for you, and you got quick fingers, you could, move them around, unfortunately. So if you are playing somebody, I mean, you don't want to assume people are going to cheat. So it's kind of hard to say, hey, I'd like to write down what order your cards are in. Unfortunately.
Well, it's supposed to be secret. It's supposed to be a kind of a surprise to your opponent. So,
yeah. So they don't know what bonuses you have. So yeah, that makes it even.
Really, you can do your best. Just like, okay, just keep track of what they used.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I'd like to believe that 95% of people you play are not intentionally trying to cheat.
Oh, I agree.
I fully agree. I actually might even argue it's more than 95% of the people you play, but it's always that, a bad
I work in the public. I work with the public, so I give that big buffer.
A bad apple spoils the whole bunch, as the saying goes.
Right.
And unfortunately, you do get those players that take advantage of things like that, and it affects the whole community. I think it's going to bog the game down even more. In addition to the reanimation protocols for ITC tournaments, it's definitely going to force Necron players to be very conscientious of their time.
Maybe, Because you do this when your opponent's rolling for their psychic powers or picking their psychic powers, right? So maybe it just gives you something to do in that same amount of time.
Well, but when your turn comes around, you have to pick which.
Which one you're going to do?
And so, if for a player that's being a little indecisive, that could cost them precious time.
Yeah. Well, you're supposed to pick it pre-game and reveal it, but yeah, I
think what Crash means is when you have that, say turn 4 Sunstorm, you still get to choose which directive right then and there you want to go for.
Yeah.
So if raising the flags, if you don't have anyone on objectives because they've gotten shot off or something, then you're going to choose the move.
Yeah. But I'm looking at it from a confusion standpoint, because if you get your cards out of order on accident, in a more casual type setting, then you got to go and figure out which order you have them in. I think this will be a perfect thing to put into the army building apps, so that you could keep track of what protocol you're intending to use, maybe. But who knows if we'll see that.
I mean, and they all have a different name, so just shorthand it. Be like turn 1. You could write like a 1 through 5, and then 1 storm, 2 something else. Like write it down too.
Yeah, I mean, if you, the player, are trying to avoid, not messing up, it's pretty easy to not mess up.
You don't want to be like one of those Magic the Gathering people and like be shuffling through the cards because you're nervous.
Yeah,
but so next we have
overall, I like the plot mechanic. It reminds me of the old the plot cards from the Game of Thrones card games.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. Thematically, it's pretty cool. The characters are directing. I mean, it's called a director.
And then
directing the troops around them and everything.
Each dynasty actually has one that they're partial to, and when that pops up, if you're playing that dynasty, you get both.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
I believe Novak is Sudden Storm, so they would get both of these. They're the close comment ones. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's
not bad.
Just trying to move along a little bit, but we do have some new units and some revamped units. Next, we have the what is it called?
Hexmark.
Hexmark, because he has 6 eyeballs, maybe 7.
And
He's got 6 eyeballs and 6 guns. So the Hexmark, it is a new form of destroyer. Looks like they were once death marks, but now they carry a whole bunch of pistols. The pistol is range 18, 1 shot, strength 6, AP 1, damage 1. And it has a special rule called multi-threat eliminator. Each time an enemy model is destroyed by a ranged attack made by this model's emmetic disintegrator pistols, after this model makes the rest of its attacks, it can shoot with one of its disintegrator pistols 1 additional time. These attacks cannot generate additional attacks. So if you kill a guy, say a guardsman, you get another attack. But the cool thing about its additional attacks is it doesn't say you get additional hits or you make another attack against that unit. It just says you get another attack, which means you can choose new targets.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that is true. It's nice. I didn't think about that. It reminds me of Doc Holliday from Tombstone, where he's like, I've got a pistol for each of you when he's really drunk.
I love that movie. Mostly for Val Kilmer's Doc Holliday.
My Hexmark's going to be called Doc Holliday.
You need to give it a little cowboy hat.
It's true. I have a Kellermore from the Gene Cult. He only has 3 pistols. He has a cowboy hat. So this guy's definitely going to have a cowboy hat too.
Oh yeah,
they even introduced him in the video where they had the Rangers from the Saberite Rangers from Admech and the Kellermore. And they're all having like a Wild West duel, and then this guy shows up. I thought the video was pretty funny.
It was amusing, and they even put a little joke in there. They said, "We hear that the Kellermorph has asked to postpone its planned duel with the Hexmark Destroyer."
Oh yeah, Hexmark sure would kill it.
And next up, we have the Monolith Nova.
So good, so good. So the Monolith has definitely gotten a huge revamp. Its weapons have gotten a lot better. I believe it also got 4 more wounds, so that brings it up to 24 wounds. I don't know if it said here, but they did say that it got 4 more wounds. So
nice.
It can. It's got 4 weapon mounts in each corner. These can either be Death Rays or Gauze Flux Arcs. So depending on how you want to equip it. So your death ray is range 24, heavy 1, strength 9, AP 3, damage is D3 plus 3. So much better because I think it used to be just D6.
It
So
did.
much better variables in damage. So you're always going to get 4, maybe you'll get 6. Your God's Flux Arc is definitely your infantry killer. Rapid fire, 30-inch range, rapid fire, so it's going to be rapid firing at 15. Rapid fire 3 each. So if you're within 15 inches of somebody, that's going to be 24 shots. That's strength 5 minus 2 if you won. And then you've got your particle whip, which is D6, heavy D6, strength 12, AP 3, damage 3, blast. So, against a lot of units out there, it's always going to be getting at least 3. And then it's Portal of Exile. I believe the model right now is strength 7 or 8. I'm not sure what it will be in the codex, but it's a melee weapon, strength user, AP 3, damage 3, and it automatically hits like a flamer.
That's nice.
nasty.
It's going to be super good. So even if it has really junky weapon skill, like weapon skill 6, it doesn't matter. It auto hits.
I was seeing in the thing, it says the death ray is a option to instead of the Gauss Flux Arc. So you can equip it with 4 of the death rays.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh, sorry, I
I
missed
said you can either equip
Corner
it with
has
Flux Arcs or Death Rays.
Oh,
I probably didn't say how many.
I apologize.
So no worries. So if you want a super killy fortress that is still going to float, we see in the picture that warriors are still being transported through it. From what I remember it's not in this article, it was in one of the online previews that they did. They said they wanted to make the monolith on par with, like, say, super heavies or knights. So
That was
That
my
makes sense.
question. I was going to say, so it looks to me like, they're trying to make it on par with the knight.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, 'cause
I think it's going to become a super heavy. So you're probably only going to see 1, maybe 2 per army. It's definitely going to have a points hike from what it is, but I think it's going to be well worth it with these weapons.
So right now, I mean, at least under my current understanding, monoliths are, under their current rules that we, have seen, are okay, but they're, too expensive for what they do. So you don't see them a whole lot.
No, but I mean, it's getting 4 more wounds. It's getting access to death rays instead of the flux arcs, which is really good if you're wanting to destroy other vehicles or heavy intercessors.
Yeah.
Well, and in the past, the Flux Arcs were the same thing as a Gauss Flare, and these are very clearly superior. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if they
So
changed
much better.
them. Did they change them in 8th edition or?
I don't know. You never saw monoliths because they were just terrible.
Okay, so I mean, probably not then, because this is range 30, rapid fire 3, strength 5, AP2, damage 1. I know you went over it, but that's a significantly better profile than
The particle whip is better. I can bring up the old profiles. Give me a second.
Oh, there we go. That'd be a good way to compare. Personally, I'd be tempted to do 2 death rays, 2 flux arcs, plus the particle whip. You've got some heavy anti-vehicles, some solid anti-infantry.
You may not be able to do that.
Yeah.
Oh,
You might have to go like all 4 of one, all 4 of the other, because at least the pictures they show, they've shown off 1 with 4 death rays and 1 with 4 of the flux arcs.
well, maybe it is only 4 and 4. Either way, it's a lot of flux power now.
So God's Flux Arc right now is range 24, heavy 3, strength 5, AP2, damage 1. So it's gotten 6 inches of range, and it went to rapid fire, which is much better than heavy with this type of weapon.
Yeah.
The particle whip, range 24, so now it went to range 36. Heavy 6, now it's only heavy D6, but it did gain blast, so they're trying to balance it. It was only strength 8, now it's strength 12. AP 2, now it's AP 3. Damage D3, now it's flat 3, and blast.
I'll take the new one. Thank you.
Yeah. That Portal of Exile is cool.
And then
Exiles.
the Portal of Exile, you had there was a chart where you had to roll against to see if it would even hurt something. It's much better now.
Now, I would love to know how many attacks it's got. Probably only 4. but they would still. What?
At the moment, it has 3 attacks.
Okay.
It's 3 attacks, it's strength 8, and it's wounds 20. You know it's going to wounds 24. So it probably keeps all that. And it has living metal, so it regains wounds every turn, too.
So the monoliths are going to be something to be feared. Basically upgrading it to knight level for Necrons. Good. They've needed them at that level.
Yeah.
I like it.
Really, the only thing that it really needs is because right now it's movement 6 is its top movement speed. And Wolver wouldn't be bad, but I think it needs to go a little faster than 6 inches.
Yeah, I could see it going to an 8 maybe.
But I noticed they increased the range of all its weapons.
Yeah.
So maybe that was to compensate.
So next up, sorry.
Oh, good. No, that makes sense. Compensating for its slow pace with higher range.
Next up, we have one of the coolest models I think GW's ever done.
So awesome.
Oh, it's gorgeous. We have the Shard of the Void Dragon. The Catan. Shard of the Void Dragon.
It's like the board game Catan. That's how they pronounce it.
Okay, so Catan.
Yeah.
Okay. And I always thought it was Catan, but I hear a lot of people say Satan. And that's having played for 20 years, you're going to see lots of people pronouncing stuff differently and arguing about it too.
Yep.
Yeah, they will.
I cannot.
We're going to pick on Reese for a second about
I'm going to pick on Reese for a second and his chance. That is not how the English language works. Love you, dude. You're cool. You're just saying it wrong.
I knew that was coming.
He's an English language major.
Is he?
Yeah.
That's funny. I cannot imagine that I'm well, we might need to cut that a little bit out. We'll see.
No, that's fine. I mean, if you take Canada, you take Australia, you take America, South Africa, England, and I'm only, like most countries in the world, like people know English or some of it. So I'm just choosing ones that it's the main language. And we all 4 of them pronounce things differently than each other.
Oh, yeah.
And have slang that's different than each other. And will spell the same word different.
Yeah. I mean, the British adding their U's and us taking them out like it's proper.
That's what we tell the British. We want to get rid of you.
Yep. I've seen that meme. It's great.
So just looking for words with a Greek or Latin origin, CH is pronounced as a K if it's in the middle of the word and not at the end. So I don't know what Catacan comes from.
This is where this Dave can cut it, but he needs to put in a little meme of the football player from Revenge of the Nerds going, nerd. He looked up how to spell something.
So Catacan is something that GW made up. So I'm going to call it Greek or Latin and say it's Catacan.
Anyhow. Moving on.
Yep, moving on.
But the stats on this Void Dragon are amazing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Scouter, do you want to
oh yeah, I'll run him down.
Bless us with the Void Dragon stats.
Yeah, movement 8, weapon skill 2, ballistic skill 2 plus, strength 6, toughness 7, 9 wounds, 5 attacks, 10 leadership, and a 3+ armor save. So right there, he's on par with pretty much every Space Marine character.
I like how he comes in just under the wound amount for separate targeting.
Yep.
So as far as the stats, he has the same movement and weapon skill and BS as the other Catan. He's actually physically weaker than the Deceiver Nightbringer, but his weapon, which you're going to go over in a moment, goes above that. His toughness is the same. His wounds are higher. His attacks are higher. And his armor save is better than the other Catan.
Yeah. So moving on at the profile, he's got the Spear of the Void Dragon, and he can either use it as a shooting weapon or a melee weapon. When he shoots it, it's range 12, heavy 1, strength 9, AP 4, damage D6.
Las cannon.
Oh yeah, it's straight up 12-inch las cannon. Now it's got this big block of ability here. Each time an attack is made with the weapon, If a hit is scored, draw a straight line between the closest point of this model's base or hull and that of the closest model in the target unit. Make one wound roll against that target unit and each other unit that this line passes over. So it literally just beams straight through. So you can attack a land raider with him, and any Marines in the way are getting blasted too.
Yeah. I think the only other unit that has this is Mortarian's Pistol.
Really? Okay.
Basically, you choose a model, and if you hit, everything in that line gets hit too.
That's cool.
It's the only thing that comes off the top of my mind. The old Death Ray worked like that, but I don't think it does anymore. The Vibro Cannon?
Yep. Vibro Cannon's for Eldar, but...
So it's not many, and it's really cool when it happens.
Yeah.
That's pretty swanky.
Yeah,
but there's more.
And then in melee mode, and then each time an attack made with this weapon is allocated to a vehicle, that attack has a damage characteristic of D3 plus 3. So you're going to get that minimum 4 damage like we were talking about. And then spear mode, or melee mode for the spear rather, range melee, type melee, he gets strength plus 3. So that takes him to strength 9 in melee. He's got an AP4 again. Damage D6 again, and each time it's made an attack is made on a vehicle, it goes the D3 plus 3. So he's going to be a vehicle.
He has the biggest spear. It's so huge. It's the best spear ever.
He's going to be a night killer.
It's better than all the other spears.
Knights and land raiders and big what's that big Primaris tank? Not the
repulsor
Forge World one, but the.
You're talking about the repulsor, right?
Yeah, the repulsor. Yeah,
there's repulsors, and then the one with the bigger barrel is the executioner.
Yeah, the executioner.
But
he's going to go after them repulsors, definitely.
But it doesn't even matter. You see Orc buggies, dead. You see Space Marine speeders, dead. Eldar Falcons, dead. I'm going to go down the list.
Dead.
Monoliths, dead.
Wow.
Got a couple other special rules there, El Scotcho.
What's that?
I say he's got a couple other pretty good special rules there.
Where am I missing here?
Necrodermis and Matter.
Oh yeah, Necrodermis. So I almost forgot about that.
Good.
This model is 4+ invulnerable save. In addition, cannot lose more than 3 wounds in the same phase. That is, oh my gosh, so good right there. So it doesn't matter how many wounds you put on him, he's only taking 3.
So here's the thing, and he can hide. So turn 1, you're going to put him behind a block of warriors.
Oh yeah.
And
only way you're getting him is with snipers or something like that.
And charge him against the knight. The knight's like, ha! He can only do 3 wounds in the whole phase.
I hit you with all 5 Reaper chainsword attacks that each do 6 damage. Oh, you took 3.
Yeah.
It's like I'll roll for everything.
Killed me back. And then at the end of each phase, roll 1d6 for each enemy vehicle model destroyed as a result of the attack made by this model or Catan power used by this model. And for each 2+, he gains a wound. He can only gain 3 back that way, though.
But killer cans?
You have killer cans? I was just about to say, you better run them away.
Yeah. Run away! Killer cans away.
He's going to open those things like a Pop-Top Campbell's and just eat the soup out.
The grot soup.
So here's something really interesting. They sneakily dropped another rule here. Catan powers. Yep. They didn't quite say he had them, but this just says he has Catan powers. So not only does he have this awesome spear, these great abilities, but he can also throw out antimatter meteors and like cosmic fireballs.
Yeah. So that's something we'll get into our lore dive. But the Catan they were literally gods to the Necrons. So they have godlike powers. And these shards are going to be able to summon them.
I'm hoping that they're making each of the shards more dedicated. This guy's obviously anti-vehicle, right?
Oh, yeah.
No ifs, ands, or buts. I hope Nightbringer is anti-horde.
I
hope he has a scythe attack, a sweep attack. I hope the Deceiver messes with leadership and attrition tests.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
And then you have the Transcendent Catan. I'm not really sure what what he would do, maybe a sort of a mixture of all of it. But I'm hoping each of the name shards, so Nightbringer, Deceiver, War Dragon, all have a very specific purpose, and you're taking them with that in mind.
I want to paint that boy in chrome.
And then I guess they could do like a jack of all trades.
That would be a reason to get that chrome paint that we know about.
I want to paint it in chrome, Nova.
You know, that color shifting paint, the chameleon paint, would look really good on them too for their Necrodermis.
I mean, that's when I see people do chrome paint and stuff, I usually hate it. But on him, just his body, his main body, like the spear, the wings, I think I would do all those differently. But his actual,
am thinking of not using those wings. As blasphemous as it sounds, because I think the model's amazing. I'm almost thinking I'm just not using the wings.
We're not cousins anymore.
I mean, I'm gonna have to. I'm a tournament gamer in their line of sight, so. But I think he would look cool without the wings. I'm just used to, the other Catan don't have wings.
You'd get called for modeling for advantage. Yeah.
100%. So, I mean, they're going to go on, but I just think he would be just as cool looking without.
I mean, you can magnetize them.
No.
No? Okay.
No. Magnetizing goes against the spirit of the model. I roll so well because I don't anger the spirits. I appease my model spirit.
We've gone over about probably a little over half the news that we've gotten for Necrons. So we are going to go ahead and break here for part 1 of the Necron news, and we'll be back with part 2.
And remember, in honor of Sarek the Silent King, get off my lawn.
Oh, that's good.
I don't think that's the quote. We've been the Armchair Generals. We'll be back.
Thank you for joining us for today's video.
We hope you enjoyed your time with us.
If you did, please remember to smash that like button.
Hit subscribe and click that notification bell,
so you never miss a video from us.
Until next time, we are the Armchair Generals.